Hello and welcome to Dirk After Dark, the show after the show. The show being The Dirk Show, exclusively on DirkTV. Exclusively on DirkTV. So, what is Dirk After Dark? We are a show where I answer your questions and I talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I'm a little more chill than I am on The Dirk Show, if that's even possible. So I get to be myself. It's not always funny. Sometimes it is hilarious, just being who I am. We will always learn something, and I will always teach you a little bit about science and history. So I look forward to teaching you that today. And as you can see from the title, we may or may not have answered a question that was interesting or scary or funny or thrilling or to do with science or, well, you know better than I do because you're from the future, and I go into this blind. I've read some of the comments, so I know some of the questions that my producer Karen might have chosen for me, but I don't know all of them. So there we go. Let's go with the first question.
Okay, the first question comes from one of your subscribers.
Okay, as
Mongo's
to most of the questions.
Big thinks.
Mongo's Big Thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the question. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what does he think?
The question that he asked or she asked.
It's a he. It's got to be a he. I've seen their page.
What is the speed of Dirk?
Okay. Mongo's Big Thinks. So Mongo actually listened to that show because one of the questions that this from the video that this came from was, what is the speed of Dirk? And we talked about that. Now, what is the speed of Dirk? Ever since I've ruptured my Achilles, it's been a lot lower than it used to be. So the speed of Dirk used to be pretty easily calculatable. You would just give me a start point and an end point, and I would run. And I was actually quite fast. Of course, no one's going to believe me except for people that knew me in high school because I'm this size that I am. Now, here's the thing. How fast you're going depends on mass and a force that is pushing that mass. That's what's going to give you speed. So, if you have as much mass as I do, which is a heck of a lot of mass, then you have to push with a lot of force in order to get speed going. Long story short, it means I'm not very fast because what do you use to push your body with force? You use against gravity, use friction, but you use your muscles. And my muscles are weak, but my calves were very strong. And then I ruptured my Achilles. So here's your foot, and then here's your calf. And this is what the little muscle that attaches your heel to your calf is your Achilles. And it's named after Achilles because Achilles was the first person in the Greek pantheos that realized he had heels. He wore pretty high heels, but for back then. So we're talking probably wedges by today's standards. So Achilles was a god. And he was hanging out with Zeus, and he was hanging out with Hercules, and he was hanging out with Loki. And they were making fun of him because of the shoes that he wore. And he was like, what's wrong with them? I wear them to make my butt look better. And they were like, they're so pointy in the back. You're such a weirdo. And so now they call that our Achilles heel or our Achilles tendon is that tendon there because Achilles was a cross-dresser. Neither here nor there. I'm not going to give my opinion on that. I mean, I don't know the guy. But from the stories that I've read, it was his downfall because he didn't want anybody to know about them, and the person that did know about it hurt him pretty badly. So I think that pretty much sums up the answer to your question. Yeah. Next question.
Okay. What is the...
Also, thank you. If you guys want to look at his page, go check out Mongo's Big Thinks. Yeah, see what they got going on over there.
Okay. What is the most annoying habit that other people have?
So what's my pet peeve that my least favorite thing other people do as a habit? Mm-hmm. A lot of people have a habit of being mean. I'll say that. So habit is something that you find coming naturally for you. It comes from the word habitat. Habitat being the place that you live or where you call home or where your little ecosystem in there is your habitat, okay? So a habit is really just important because we talk about saving the environment. We talk about Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes, but we talk about also the Amazon rainforest burning down. And then that makes me think of the habit. The habit is actually a burger joint. Pardon me, that was annoying. I'm sorry. A burger joint in Utah. And it's pretty good. But if you're talking about habits that other people have, then I would think it's really annoying to hear people smacking. It's really annoying to hear people smacking because I'd rather than punch people instead of smacking them. Like, it just makes it better. It's more of a, as opposed to a, versus, that's a much better texture and sound. So next question.
What is your favorite drink?
What is my favorite drink? Well, I'll answer this one with all seriousness. My favorite drink is Pepsi Zero Sugar. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry. It's the best soda. It's the best diet zero sugar soda that tastes like it doesn't have zero sugar and it's delicious. Okay. Next question.
What state or country do you never want to go back to and why?
Oh man, I'm going to offend a lot of people here. I don't really want to go back to Utah. I loved Utah. I don't want to go back to Utah because the air is so bad there. So back to science lesson. There's what we call an inversion. So a lot of men... Well, let me just start over. An inversion is like a V kind of thing. It's an inversion. And it's a version of what happens when air is not pure. So because there's mountains on each side and there's a valley in between, pollution never is able to get out. So that's called an inversion. And the inversion is kind of like you go to buy something online and there's two versions. There's the old version, there's a new version, and then there's the inversion. So like the iPhone 10 versus the iPhone 10s. The inversion of that would be like the new Galaxy S10. S10s. Because that's the inversion. And the inversion is not a new thing. They've had this with microphones for years. And that's where, we come up with NSYNC. That's where NSYNC came up with their name. And they actually were the inversion of the Backstreet Boys. So if you didn't know who NSYNC was, that's fine. The Backstreet Boys were the main ones, and they were the more popular ones, and they had the better singer. But NSYNC had produced Justin Timberlake, if I'm not wrong. It's producer? Yeah. So, NSYNC actually ended up being better in the long run. So you might think, oh no, I'm doomed because I didn't get the real version. I only got the inversion of the iPhone. But in reality, in the long run, that might prove to be more worth your while. So there you go. Next question. Another inversion is Nike over Adidas. So. And Adidas actually was owned by this man, in Holland area, and he had two sons. Who, when he died, he gave the company to, and they fought over it. So they split up, and they ended up making Adidas and Puma. Okay, I really am done now.
Are you usually...
Done with what? Done with talking about this question, except for one more thing. The inversion of an equation sometimes is more like an equator than Pythagorean's theorem. And if you know what that means, then we're on the same page. Okay.
Are you usually early or late?
Am I usually early or late? Well, I don't know. You're my wife. Tell me. What do you think?
Well, because you're married to me, we're early.
Because I'm married to you, we're early. If it was up to me, I'd never go anywhere.
That's true.
So I don't go to things. If it's a doctor's appointment, I'll be a little early. I hate that they make you do paperwork. Why can't it be done online ahead of time? Maybe if you live in like LA or New York or I don't know, wherever Hogwarts is, you can do it online. But I just think it's annoying that you have to go early and do paperwork still. One of the worst things I've ever experienced. Next question. It really is after dark, man. Holy cow.
What are some small things that make your day better?
Some small things that make my day better. One of the smallest things that makes my day better is actually grains of salt. See, a grain of salt is actually very small. Believe it or not, it's actually smaller than my hand and smaller than even my thumb. And a grain of salt, just a little bit of salt over some eggs. Oh, that's really good. So other small things that make my day better are All the Small Things by Blink-182. That's a pretty good song. Also, cellular, on the cellular level, we're talking about water, H2O, in liquid form, heated up in the shower. I love that. There's many of them. Rice makes my day better. They're tiny. One of the littlest, smallest things you can eat. If you want 1,000 of something, you're like, I'm hungry, I want 1,000 of something. You got two choices. You got Fruity Pebbles or you got rice. Now that I think about it, Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles is my answer. Final answer. Go. Next.
Okay. Who is your go-to band or artist when you can't decide on something to listen to?
When I can't decide on something to listen to, who is my go-to band or artist? Well, I don't really see how this really has anything to do with it, but I like the Live Strong bracelets. And for bands, as far as bands go, rubber bands. And artists, I would have to say Leonardo da Vinci. Now, Leonardo da Vinci was from France, and Lance Armstrong went to France on a bike, and he rode there on a bike from the United States, and it was called the Tour de France. And not to be confused with the F100 series races, but he rode over there with Amelia Earhart, I'm pretty sure, a tandem bicycle in a race called the Tour de France, and he found out that Leonardo da Vinci had actually scheduled to meet with him during one of the tours of the race. So, if I remember correctly, Lance Armstrong got in trouble because he didn't race, and instead he went and visited with Leonardo da Vinci. Now, Leonardo da Vinci, with Lance Armstrong and Leonardo DiCaprio, made a club, and they called it Da Vinci Inc., but they spelled it I-N-K, and now they're a publisher, not to be confused with Publisher Clearinghouse, but they're a publisher of books. So they published Lance Armstrong's autobiography, and they're going to be publishing, little plug here, the autobiography I'm writing for Benjamin the Chameleon Franklin. So that's just something I'd like to tie in for you. If you haven't already, you have two choices. You have to do one of these two things. Go to Amazon and pre-order my book, The Autobiography of Benjamin the Chameleon Franklin by Dirk Parker, or you can subscribe to DirkTV. So go ahead and do that now, one of the two. And I'll wait. I'll know if you don't do it. You think they're really doing it? We'll see. All right. Why didn't you pause the video? You can pause the video while you're doing that. All right, whatever. We'll believe you did it. They didn't do it. Next question.
Okay. Who has impressed...
You're a liar. Why didn't you do it? If you're on Facebook watching this, you're one of the only two people who do it so far. Comment, not just on Facebook. You know what? Comment on Facebook. That's great. Also comment on the YouTube. On the YouTube. I'm real intelligent. Also comment on YouTube. You could also like and share this video on Facebook. That would help.
Or can I go?
Mm-hmm.
Who has impressed you most with what they
It only helps a little.
accomplished?
What's your question?
I'm not repeating it.
Can you repeat it again?
Who has impressed you most with what they have accomplished?
Ooh, who has impressed me most with what they've accomplished? Man, we're talking about people in the world.
Maybe someone personal.
I know. Oh, personal? Because I was going to say Martin Luther King.
Oh.
Could I say Jesus?
Sure.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. No, I don't know him personally. I don't know Buddha personally either. So don't feel offended though I didn't say your person. Martin Luther King, obviously, we're talking about people. His message really resonates with me because I sleep a lot. So I also have dreams. And I talk. So, as far as people that I know personally that have accomplished a lot, probably my brother. He has a movie that's coming out, and it's called The Traveling One. It's a movie, feature-length movie. It's also a musical, and it's going to be amazing. So that's pretty amazing that you can do that before you're the age of, 24? Happy birthday soon. Anyway, my dogs are in the background barking. I don't care. We ain't a huge production. It's fine. Next question, please.
What is your claim to fame? And how I take this question is like 6 degrees of separation. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like I have a 7th cousin or something that auditioned for American Idol one year.
Okay.
Controversy.
Man, who am I related to?
Yeah.
I think I'm related to Bonnie and Clyde, one of those people back then. What is my claim to fame? My family's claim to fame. My family's claim to fame. Gosh, I don't even know. Probably that, my late father, God rest his soul. My late father, God rest his soul, was, in the 60s, he and his band were together with another band, formed the Atlantic Coast Show. And they were signed to a record deal, and they did their whole thing. And then basically they probably were going to be famous or get there, but they're really good. But most of them were drafted into the Vietnam War, and all of them, but a couple of them died. So that's awful, right? My late father didn't die. God rest his soul. But no, he didn't die then. Of course he did die. Of course he's dead. Well, that's what I used to say, my late father. Oh my gosh. My late father didn't die then. No, they actually, and this is a very serious thing. I know that you guys have to fact check me on a lot of things, but just don't. That's my advice. But one of the coolest things about them is they're one of the first 3, for sure, albums that ever came out that had both a white and a black lead singer on the same album. Now, they had what do they call them? Mixed race, white people with black people, and other minorities bands before, but never had there been 2 lead singers back and forth that were different races. So, pretty pioneering thing, I think. And my family was part of that. My uncle and my father, by the way.
This is our last question.
All right, last question for the night.
What is something that is considered a luxury, but you don't think you could live without?
Something that's considered a luxury, but I don't think I could live without. Toilet paper. No, that's not a luxury. Something I couldn't live without? Man, my phone? You don't need a phone. You can live without a phone. If I didn't have my phone, I wouldn't have any way of recording these videos for you guys. And I know from the people that are in these third world countries that don't have phones, that they use their phones to watch me. And it means the world to them. And they've personally contacted me through etched out letters on wooden boards in their languages, and I didn't know what it was, and I took it to a translator, and the first one said that it was a hate mail. The second one, was his colleague that was there at the same time, and after he saw how upset I was at the other guy and what happened to the other guy, he said that the other guy was totally wrong. That's not what it was. It was not a hate mail. It was not a threatening letter, but that it was praise. And I mean, like I always say, I'm the humblest guy I know. I deserve to be praised because of my humility. I'm not going to do it for myself, so you have to do it for me. So tell me I'm incredible. Tell me I'm the wisest guy. I mean, I'm not the wisest guy, but I am the smartest guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but I am the wisest guy I know. And sometimes you just have to go for it, you know? I mean, it's just, yeah. Today's episode was sponsored. Don't click off the video yet. You can sit through this short ad, okay? Today's video is sponsored. Today's video is sponsored by Bushels. Not Bushes, not Bush beer or nothing, not the Bush's baked beans, but Bushels. Bushels. Don't hide it under a bushel, man. Unless it's crabs. Yep. So there you go. What a weird saying that they have, but that's their saying. Don't hide it under a bushel, man. Unless it's crabs. So I guess crabs are very good things to hold in bushels. Also, apples are good to hold in bushels. Also, bananas could be good to hold in bushels. Also, Pokemon cards could be good to hold in bushels. I mean, I could go on, and I will. That stamp collections could be good to hold in bushels. Diamonds could be good to hold in bushels. Other precious stones, such as sapphires, could be good to hold in bushels. Rubies could be good to hold in bushels. Emeralds could be good to hold in bushels. Onyx could be good to hold in bushels. I mean, I could go on, but I think you get the point that there are lots of things that could be good in bushels, like shrimp or crab or other crustaceans like a lobster could be good to go in bushels. Lights could be good to go in bushels. Pretty much, no, lights are not supposed to go in bushels. Because that's like the Bible says that. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that as a close. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Your Father which is in heaven, I think that really speaks to me because my dad is dead. But yeah, that's really it. Let that sink in. Kind of like the Titanic. Until next time, I hope that you guys are having fun, and I hope that you will let me know what I can do that is what I can continue doing that's good. If you have something negative to say, don't even say it. So hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the like button twice. The dislike button twice. It works even better that way. So yeah, either like the video, hit the dislike button twice. That really helps out a lot, or, really gets your point across. Until next time, stay beautiful. Peace.